Hello and welcome to episode 2 of the Squatva devlog series. Squatva is an app for coaches and athletes to create, share and track workouts. Last time we started our project, connected our Firebase backend and built a very basic UI. This episode we're going to focus on building the backend functionality for that UI. That means building our register and sign-in methods, as well as signing out, deleting, and password recovery. For the most part, this went pretty smoothly, but the Apple sign-in proved a little bit of a challenge. That method only returns the name of the user on the very first time you use it. Every other time, it just returns null. So you have to be quite careful about storing that username. So what you can see on screen here is just how I achieved that. Now, the Facebook login, that was much more of a challenge. I followed a tutorial, I followed a video, I read the documentation, and I just couldn't get it to work. As you can see on screen at the moment, I was getting pretty frustrated with it. I'm not sure why, but I just kept receiving the same error every time I went to log in. Now, I've decided to cancel this feature. I don't think it's needed. It's probably not the sign-in method that's going to be used the most. So now that we have finished our authorization service, it's time to check out our Notion board and understand what we need to do next. Next up, we have our user database service. Now this is where we're going to create, update, delete users, and also be able to read a specific user or just the one that's currently logged in. The user database in the future will store things like stats, exercises completed, workout activity, etc. But at the moment, it's pretty basic, and it just stores the name and the ID of the user. Now, you can see here I'm just testing out the service, and when I check out the Firebase database, we should see a user with their user ID saved. Now, I want to be able to use that information from the user database across my app. Now, to manage the state of the user, I'm going to use Provider. Provider is a state management tool that I'm fairly familiar with, but I do understand it's not the best option out there, so I might look into other methods later on. What I'm doing is, whenever I log in, I'm going to download the user data, store that in the provider, and then I can access it, as you can see here in the app bar. With all of our authentication service and user database service finished, it's time to move on to some interesting and exciting functionality. We're going to have a look at creating exercises. Now, later on, those exercises will be put together into workouts, and those workouts into programs. We're just starting off with some note-taking just now, and to be honest, this seems like it's going to be quite a big task, so I'm going to put that into the next devlog. Tune in next time to see how we get on with that.